This is my second time doing this. Sun's setting, god damn it. I ran out of daylight. I didn't think this is something I can write a script for, or should. It wouldn't feel sincere or genuine to me for a video that I will put on YouTube in the hopes that I can finally, one day, quit my shitty paying day jobs. This way of thinking, this way of living, and this drive to keep chasing this dream, no matter what the cost is, will forever be tolling, and that just comes with the territory. It has messed with me. That's why I took a break from posting Reels and TikToks, because a lot of my happiness stemmed on how well a TikTok would do that day. And if it got the likes and the views, it was like a high. It would make my day. But when it did bad, it would hurt, and it would push me to try harder to get the results that I wanted. And saying it out loud like that can really put into perspective how tolling it can be over long periods of time. About a year, some change, more, almost 2 years-ish, something. I don't know. I love what I'm doing. If I can be a rock for some people and help them by doing the things that I love, then I will do this with every fiber of my being. And the reason for this video is, if you've ever felt like how I'm about ready to describe how I felt recently, I want to be a comfort video that you could watch a million times or just leave it on in the background. I want this video to be a safe space for you, kind of like a warm blanket for anyone, you know. Just remind yourself that shit's okay. My faith of all things has been shaken recently, from recent life events and some ongoing. And faith to me has always been this. You know, I haven't really thought about it before.
And who has? I've always just winged whatever problems just came my way. Pretty much willed whatever solution I needed. Whatever I needed to do, I'd find a way to make it work. Adapted to my surroundings when something wasn't to my liking. I always have faith that things will get better with time. They always tend to. Faith in that and yourself is one thing, but what about the faith in the people you know? Something that's totally out of your control. I'm starting to lose faith in some friendships and relationships with people, sometimes my dreams, and even myself. When someone talks about faith, it's almost always synonymous with religion. I've never been a super religious person. I couldn't tell you the last time I was in church that was of my own free will, excluding weddings. I don't hate weddings. If it isn't apparent before, I love my friends, and I love seeing my friends happy. I just like seeing people happy in general. Sometimes, friends and loved ones will just do questionable things from time to time. Quirks and pet peeves are one thing. When it's something that totally changes the quality of the person's character, that's something you cannot overlook. Hopefully we learn from our past mistakes and move on and grow as better people. Sometimes you got someone on your team that just can't push past beyond what they think they're capable of. It's senior year, and they're not even making starting lineup. Someone is getting cut from the team. Even trying to make light of the situation is cringe-inducing. The potential act of letting go of people in your life. Saying farewell indefinitely to a former friend. Some might be fortunate enough not to have that gut-wrenching conversation of why I don't want to spend my free time with you anymore. Lengths of time, miles and miles of distance, life getting in the way for either of you to keep the friendship alive. But sometimes, you gotta have a difficult conversation with someone. Better to not waste each other's time. And that's a hard pill to swallow. The prospect is scary, but you shouldn't feel afraid to tell someone you love how you really feel. If you really love and care about the person, you'll tell them and want to see them grow from that interaction. Growing up, I was encouraged to hold on to whatever friends would come my way. No matter how flawed their character, everyone deserves love and deserves a friend. Everyone is human. And that was that. That was my mindset for a while. There was nothing more important than my friends. The adults in my life, or characters from TV shows I would watch, reiterated this ideology. Hold on to love and never let it go. Alright, but what if it's the only thing keeping you guys together? This can be conflicting advice when you're constantly explaining away your friends' casual racist comments off in front of others, let a homophobic or transphobic statement slide at a party or a family get-together, all in an effort to just save my breath. And at the cost of losing respect for someone you've known most of your life. Now, there will be people in your life that will test the bonds of these relationships, whether it be outside forces or the person in question. I've had people testing the bonds I've had, causing me to second guess everything in my life. It's like I have no faith in things getting better, for the people in my life to get better, for my future to be better than what it already is. The hope is non-existent at times. But I think it's okay to admit that to yourself. You can't be 100% every single day. You're only human. If you lose faith, you can always get it back. Faith is a process. Just try again tomorrow, and life finds a way. Then to which I would have said, fine, but how many tomorrows do I have to go through before I can feel like my old hopeful self again? When does the waiting stop? I feel like my whole life has been nothing but waiting for something to start. Even though I've done a lot in my life that I'm proud of, I constantly have this feeling that something incredible is gonna happen, and it hasn't yet. The thing I've been working my whole life for is just right around the corner if I just kept holding on to this feeling a little longer. And that's when I realize that when I hold on a little longer is when the good things happen. And it turns out I'm just standing in my own way 99% of the time. I need to regain this sense of hope. At least build back what I once had before. It's been making me restless at night. It's affecting my creative drive, inviting intrusive thoughts of me being a horrible person inside my mind. I don't like this. I don't like this feeling. This isn't me. In the past year since I started making videos, I'm reminded of the beauty and positive messages left from covering these games and movies on my channel. Stuff you could really stand to hear again in adulthood. A recent example of this is Night in the Woods. I just got done with my second playthrough of the game, and I've been wanting to do a video about Night in the Woods for the longest time, and I think the time has finally come.
Recently, I replayed Night in the Woods, and I thought about doing a video about that because I love that game. I have a tattoo from the game. There's a church in the game, and Pastor Kate, you can find her in the church, and you can talk to her. You can talk to her every day. One day, you guys will talk about faith, and you can have a conversation about a dream you had that you saw God, and He didn't care. He didn't care about us on the planet. He didn't care about anything. He was very apathetic. Man, this is really hard to do without a script.
So May has this dream about this being, claiming that he's God, or she thinks it's God, but it's saying that he's not God. Anyway, he's very nihilistic, apathetic, the works. And you tell Pastor K all this, and she doesn't think that's God. In fact, she herself doesn't really believe in God some days. Because some days it's just hard. This confuses May because, she's the pastor and it's her job to tell people that God's up there. How can she do that when she herself doesn't believe in God 100% of the time? They have some back and forth. May says some very harsh things and she leaves. I found it baffling that May missed the whole point that Pastor K was trying to convey about faith. And then I felt idiotic that I missed what Pastor K was trying to tell me during my first playthrough of this game. I was dumbfounded. I had to be reminded what faith was and that it's a process. Almost like a muscle you have to train. Originally, I was going to do a video about Night in the Woods and how it feels like you were meant to play through this game more than once. That's probably obvious because the game has multiple things to do, making it pretty much impossible to experience everything in one playthrough. It's not like the Obra Dinn, a first-person detective mystery game that you can only really experience once. It's interesting seeing different people's perspective of different parts of the game, like the interaction with Pastor K, for example. I love this game.
I've worn these jeans on purpose.
It's a warm blanket for most. And the reason I thought about this topic of was it meant to be played twice is moments like the one I had in the church. I had to replay this to fully understand the message. I had a religious experience in a fake church. Faith is about not being 100% certain about something and still choosing to believe in it. Feel that pain of losing the hope and regain it once more. Kind of reminds me of the very few times I enjoyed being at a church. For brief moments in my life, I saw people going to church, a choice they all consciously make every Sunday because they are actively choosing to believe every day. And again, I'm not a super religious person and I'm not trying to make this sound like I am or that people who go to church are automatically better people, which is not the case at all, and I will stop talking about this before we derail. It's very sincere, it's very genuine. For people, it was a weekly reminder, a motivator, all in an effort to keeping that burning feeling of hope alive. Because if it hurts, it means that it meant something at least. It's nice to be hopeful about something and have it work out, even if you don't know how long it will last. It's just nice when someone catches you as you're falling. I'm grateful to have a beating heart that can feel such extreme, complex emotions every day of my life. I like how scary it can be to take a leap of faith. The amazing feeling when things work out for once. Persistence is key when it comes to training. I have been arrogant. I've neglected my training for too long, thinking I never needed to work or strengthen my faith in myself, and in others. I need to actively choose every day to believe in myself and those closest to me, the people I have chosen to be close to me. Amazing things can happen with very little required. I am a more callous person than I'd like to be. The world is cruel enough, so maybe I should start being more kind to others and myself before it's too late for me.
I am upset there's not a dialogue option in the game to apologize to Pastor K, given, everything that May's been through. I find it perplexing from this scene alone.
I think I've done a good job not to spoil too much of the game, so that if you want to play it for yourself, you can. I highly recommend it. This scene I'm going to talk about is towards the later half of the game, the culmination of ghost investigations and stress-filled days in a small town of rural West Pennsylvania. She really needs to tell her friends what's been going on with her lately, because she doesn't know what else to do. There's this thing following May. At the very least, something attached itself to her. Could be a ghost, could be just some guy. May has had enough of whatever this thing is. This thing that's been stalking you for the majority of the game, that has been the major cause of her stress and these weird dreams and visions she's been having lately. Bottom line, something strange is going on in Possum Springs, and her friends are understandably skeptical of this. May's friend B says that she has been under a lot of stress since she's been back in town, with all these aforementioned life changes, and stress does weird things to people. Her longtime friend Greg says there's probably 50 better explanations for what's going on with her. May shuts down and gives up on explaining herself. She tells them that she's going to confront this thing in the woods. She knows what this thing is and where to find it. Your friends tell you that's not a great idea and it's getting late, but what do they care? They don't believe her story. They don't believe her ghost anyway. Angus, Greg's boyfriend, says that he'll go. In a very defiant moment in May and Angus's friendship, he says that he doesn't believe in ghosts, but he believes in May. Moved, the rest of the gang goes into the woods to find that ghost.
May's friends may not have believed in the ghost she saw, but they believe in May. Faith to me is this. It's about not being 100% certain about something and still choosing to believe in it. Faith is a process. Have faith that one day it'll all work out.
I'll fight you to the nail for all of my friends. I've gritted my teeth for just long enough. You fucking piss me off, you just won't die. I'll stop when you look in my eyes.